Magandang araw po. So, ang natapik po sa amin ay Philippine, Tri-Bureau, and USA. So, makikita niyo po yung USA flag namin and Philippine flag. So, ang meaning po ng USA ay, ang stripe po nare-represent niya ang original 13 colonies and yung stars po represent the 50 states of the Union. So, red symbolizes hardness and valor. White symbolizes purity and innocence, and blue represents vigilance, perseverance, and justice. While yung sa Philippine flag naman po natin ay white triangle stands for equality and fraternity, and blue field for peace, truth, and justice. Red field for patriotism and valor. The 8th ray of the sun stand for the first 8 provinces that the colonizers have put under martial law. The 3 stars symbolizes the Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. So sabi po, USA type of government, in United States of America, the federal government is composed of 3 district branches, the legislative, executive, and judicial, whose powers are vested by the US Constitution in the Congress, the President, and the federal courts, respectively. There are hundreds of federal agencies and commissions charged with handling responsibilities as varied as managing America's space program, protecting its forest, gathering intelligence, and advancing the general welfare of the American people. So, in USA po, they called it the White House, while sa Philippines naman po is meron tayong Malacanang. Sa USA po, it is where the President and First Family of the United States live and work, but it's also the People's House where we hope all Americans feel a sense of inclusion and belonging. So, sabi po, sa USA, binubuo tayo ng natatanging sangay, mga branches, legislative, executive, at judicial. So, ano nga po ba pag sinabing legislative? So, sabi dito, nakapaloob dito yung makeup of Congress, and dito yung House of Representatives, Senate different powers, impeachment of federal officers, congressional procedures, power of Congress, congressional oversight. So sa executive branch naman po, nakapaloob dito yung executive power and duties, election, success and limits, veto power, impeachment and other issues, vice president and cabinet. So sa executive department ay agencies. So, sa judicial branch, dito yung relationship between state and federal courts, budget, elections, and voting, state, tribal, and government, etc. So, sabi naman po sa Philippines, ang type po ng government nila is governed as a unitary state under a presidential, representative, and democratic and constitutional republic where the president functions as both the head of state and the head of government of the country within a pluriform multi-party system. So, the government has 3 interdependent branches. Kagaya rin po sa USA, meron din po tayong legislative branch, executive, and judicial branch. Powers of the branches are vested by the Constitution of the Philippines in the following. So, legislative power is vested in the 2-chamber Congress of the Philippines. The Senate is the upper chamber and the House of Representatives is the lower chamber. So, meron tayong executive power which is exercised by the government under the leadership of the President. Judicial power is vested in the courts with the Supreme Court of the Philippines as the highest judicial body. So, meron naman po tayong tinatawag na DOI. Sa United States, meron po tayong DOI, and sa Philippines naman meron po tayong DILG. So sa DOI, sabi po dito, it is a federal executive department of the U.S. government. It is responsible for the management and conservation of most federal lands and natural resources and the administration of programs relating to Native Americans, Alaska Natives, Native Hawaiians, territorial affairs, and insular areas of the United States, as well as programs related to historic prevention. So, the department is headed by the Secretary of the Interior, who reports directly to the President of the United States and is a member of the President's Cabinet. The current Secretary is Dave Haaland. Despite its name, the Department of the Interior has a different role from that of the interior ministries of other nations, which are usually responsible for police matters and international securities. So sabi pa po, in the United States, national security and immigration functions are performed by the Department of Homeland Security primarily and the Department of Justice secondarily. The Department of the Interior has often been humorously called the Department of Everything Else because of its broad range of responsibilities. So sa Philippines, meron po tayong DILG at sabi, the Executive Department is responsible for promoting peace and order, ensuring public safety, and strengthening the capability of local government units to effectively deliver basic services to the citizenry. DILG assists LGUs, yung mga LGUs po natin, to effectively and efficiently deliver services to their constituents. DILG formulates policies, plans, and programs to enhance local autonomy, focusing particular on the administrative, technical, and fiscal capabilities of LGUs. Meron po tayong goals ng DILG. Sabi dito, peaceful, safe, self-reliant, and development-dominated communities, improve performance of local governments in governance, administration, social and economic development, and environmental management, sustain peace and order condition, and ensure public safety. So, meron po tayong armed forces ng dalawang bansa, sa USA po and Philippines. So, sa armed forces of the USA po, sabi, US Armed Forces are made up of the 6 military branches, Air Force, Army, Coast Guard, Marine Corps, Navy, and the most recently is the Space Force po. The President of the United States is the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces and forms military policy with the Department of Defense or DoD and Department of Homeland Security or DHS. So both federal executive departments acting as the principal organs by which military policy is carried out. All 6 armed services are among the 8 uniformed services of the United States. So ang armed forces po ng USA ay binubuo ng 6 na branch which is yung Air Force po, Army, Coast Guard, Marine Corps, Navy, and most recently po yung Space Force nila. So yung DoD naman po, Department of Defense and Department of Homeland Security, parehong executive department po sila. Sila yung unang kumikilos at nagsasagawa ng patakarang militar. So, sa Philippines naman po, meron po tayong armed forces din. The Armed Forces of the Philippines or AFP is responsible for upholding the sovereignty of the country, supporting its constitution, and defending its territory against all enemies. It is composed of the Philippine Army, the Philippine Navy, and the Philippine Air Force. The Commander-in-Chief of AFP is the President. So, maririnig nyo na po yung different armed forces ng dalawang bansa at yung kanila pong pagkakaiba at pagkakatulad.
Meron tayong Department of Interior and Local Government or DILG at meron naman ng US ng Department of the Interior. So as you can see sa Department of Interior and Local Government, at the very center of DILG logo, there is the lettering DILG in black capital. So for easy recognition na rin, and then behind that DILG letters, there is a map that remind us that the department supervise or hawak nila yung buong teritoryo ng Pilipinas. So, the map and abbreviation are encircled by a red pattern. So, as you can see, merong human figure and shield. So, human figure na yon, it symbolized 17 region of the Philippines. Yung shield ay for public safety sector, peace and order. So this logo of Department of Interior and Local Government, or DILG, was inspired by the national flag. So in US, they have Department of Interior or DOI. So meron silang male buffalo with a head and body in a left position. So standing on a prairie. When we say prairie, this is a large open up grassland with mountains and a rising sun. It symbolizes of survival, strength, and power. According to the history, Department of Interior and Local Government ay nag-start noong Philippines Revolution of 1897. So on March 22, 1897, ang katipunan na nag-establish ng kauna-unang Department of Interior sa Tijeras Convention. So at that time, meron ng new government, ang naging presidente ay si Emilio Aguinaldo at Andres Bonifacio as a Director of Interior. And on April 17, 1897, President Aguinaldo appointed General Pascual Alvarez as Secretary of the Interior. On November 1, 1897, the Department of Interior was enshrined in the Biak na Bato Constitution. Article 10 of the said Constitution defined the powers and functions of the department that included statistics, roads and bridges, agriculture, public information and post, and public order. As the years of struggle for independence and self-government continued, the Interior Department became the premier office of the government tasked with various functions ranging from supervision over local units, forest conservation, public instructions, control and supervision over the police, counter-insurgency, rehabilitation, community development, and cooperative development programs. So makikita natin patagal ng patagal ang Department of Interior ay maraming hinahawakan na. Maraming pumapaloob sa kanila, mas marami silang kailangang gampanan as a department. The DLGCD was reorganized and renamed Ministry of Local Government or MLG by virtue of Executive Number 777, and in 1987, it was further reorganized and this time renamed Department of Local Government or DLG by virtue of Executive Order Number 262. Again, on December 13, 1990, the DLG underwent reorganization into what is now known as the Department of the Interior and Local Government, or DILG, by virtue of Republic Act number 6975. The law also created the Philippines National Police, or PNP, out of the Philippines Constabulary Integrated National Police, or PCINP, which together with the National Police Commission was integrated under the new DILG. The Bureau of Fire Protection, Bureau of Jail Management and Penology, and the Philippine Public Safety College, and absorbed the National Action Committee on Anti-Hijacking from the Department of National Defense, or DND. Today, the department faces a new era of meeting the challenges of local autonomy, peace and order, and public safety. And the DILG has goals and objectives. So sa goals, peaceful, safe, self-reliant, and development-dominated communities, improve performance of local governments in governance, administration, social and economic development, and environmental management, sustain peace and order condition and ensure public safety, and objectives, reduce crime incidents, and improve crime solution efficiency, improve jail management and penology services, improve fire protection services, continue professionalization of PNP, BFP, and BJMP, personnel and services, enhance LGU capacities to improve their performance, and enable them to effectively and efficiently deliver services to their constituent. Continue to initiate policy reforms in support of local autonomy.
Kung ang ating bansa ay mayroong DILG, ang USA naman ay mayroong Department of Interior na kanilang departamento. US Department of the Interior. The Department of the Interiors manage public lands and minerals, national parks, and wildlife refuges, and uphold federal trust responsibilities to Indian tribes and Native Alaskans. Sabi dito, ang Department of Interior ng US ay siya ang namamahala at namamahala ng mga public lands, mga minerals, national parks, at wildlife refuges o ang kalikasan, at tinitaguyod ang mga pananagutan sa pagtitiwala sa federal ng mga tribong Indian at mga katutubong Alaskans. Yan, history. The Department of the Interior is a United States Executive Department established in 1849. Yan, sinabi dito na ang Department of the Interior ng United States ay na-establish noong 1849. The department was formed to protect and manage the nation's natural resources and cultural heritage. Yan. Nabuo ang departamento ng United States upang pangalagaan at protektahan ang kanilang mga natural resources at ang kanilang mga cultural heritage o ang kanilang mga kultura. The Office of the Interior was formed in 1849 to protect and manage the nation's natural resources and cultural heritage. The following is a list of important dates in the department history. Noong taong 1869, Hayden Expedition began geological survey of Western Territories. Yan. Sinabi dito noong taong 1869 ay nagsimula ang geological survey sa Western Territories ng United States. 1872, Yellowstone National Park established by Congress. Yan, noong 1872 naman ay establish ang Yellowstone National Parks. Yan, tapos 1879, US Geological Survey established. Yan, noong 1879, ang Geological Survey ay established. Yan, tapos 1903, first National Wildlife Refuges established at Pelican Island, Florida. Yan, noong taong 1903, ang first National Wildlife Refuge ay na-establish sa Pelican Island sa Florida. Yan. In 1916, National Park Service established by President Woodrow Wilson. Yan, na-establish ni President Woodrow Wilson National Park noong taong 1916. At noong 1940 naman, US Fish and Wildlife Service created from agency merging. Yan, ang US Fish and Wildlife Services ay nabuo ng kanilang agency. Tapos 1982, Minerals Management Service established for mineral revenue collection and offshore lands management. Yan ang mga taon kung saan ito ang history ng Department of Interior ng United States. Ano nga ba ang kanilang mission? Sabi dito, the Department of Interior protects and manages the nation's natural resources and cultural heritage, provides scientific and other information above those resources and honors, it trusts responsibilities or special commitments to Americans, Indians, Alaska Natives, and affiliated island communities. Yan. Sabi dito, ang Department of Interior ay nagproprotekta at namamahala sa mga natural resources at ang cultural heritage. Yan, nagbibigay ng information sa kanilang mga resources at pinapahalagan rin nila ang kanilang responsibilidad sa kanilang commitment sa mga American, Indian, Alaska Natives, and affiliated island communities. Ano nga ba ang role ng Department of Interiors? Sabi dito, the Department of the Interior plays a central role in how the United States stewarded public lands, increases environmental protections, pursues environmental justice, and honor our nation relationship with tribes. Yan, sabi dito, ang Department of Interiors, ang kanilang pinaka-central role o ang kanilang ginagampanan sa United States ay upang pangalagaan ang public lands at patuloy na protektahan ang kanilang environment at upang bigyang halaga ang relationship sa bawat nasasakupan ng kanilang bansa. Ano nga ba ang pagkakapareho ng DILG ng Philippines at ang Department of Interior ng USA? The DILG of the Philippines, the focus of their goal is meeting challenges of local autonomy, peace and order, and public safety, while the DOA in USA role has differed from that of the interior ministries of other nations, which are usually responsible for police matters and internal security. In the United States, national security and immigration function are performed by the Department of Homeland Security primarily and the Department of Justice secondarily. The Department of the Interior has often been humorously called the Department of Everything Else because of its range of responsibilities. Therefore, the comparison of the ILG of the Philippines and the DOI of the USA are the same role and responsibilities, and they maintain peace and order and public safety. Yan. Sabi dito na parehas lang silang nagbibigay ng public safety at ng peace and order sa kanilang department ng USA at ang Philippines. Ano naman ang kanilang pagkakaiba? Yan. The differences of the ILG ng Philippines at ang Department of Interior ng USA. The DILG of the Philippines scope is the Bureau of Fire Protection, Bureau of Jail Management and Penology, and the Philippine Public Safety, and also include the National Action Committee on Anti-Hijacking from the Department of National Defense. Yan, sinabi dito, yan ang kanilang mga sasakupan ng kanilang departamento. Yan. While the DOI in the USA, the scope of their department is they have National Park Service and Wildlife Service, Bureau of Indian Affairs. For land and minerals management, they have the Bureau of Land Management, Office of Surface, Mining Reclamation and Enforcement, Bureau of Ocean Energy Management, Bureau of Safety and Environmental Enforcement. Yan ang kanilang mga nasasakupan ng Department of Interior ng USA. Yan. Therefore, the department differences between the LG of the Philippines and DOI of USA are the same role and responsibility, but DOI of the USA has a broad range of responsibilities because they have more coverage of their department than different in the DILG of Philippines. Ang sinasabi dito na ang pagkakaiba nila ay napakalawak ng kanilang responsibility. Therefore, the differences between DILG of the Philippines and DOI of the USA are the same role and responsibility, but DOI of the USA has a broad range of responsibilities because they have more coverage of their department than different in the ILG of Philippines. Because of the coverage of the ILG is the focus is maintaining peace and order, while the DOI of USA focus in their homeland security. Yan. Sinasabi dito na ibang-iba ang ang mga nasasakupan ng bawat departamento. Ang departamento ng DILG ay nagme-maintain, ang focus talaga ay nagme-maintain ng peace and order, at ang USA ay talagang ang focus nila ay ang kanilang homeland security o ang kanilang mga environment kung saan pinoprotektahan nila ang kanilang kalikasan.
History.
The Philippine National Police originated from the Philippine Constabulary or the PC, which was inaugurated on August 8, 1901, establishing it as an insular police force under the American regime on August 8, 1975. Presidential Decree number 765 was issued establishing the Philippine Constabulary Integrated National Police or the PC in PNP. As the country national police force, this fragmented and diverse local police units integrated into a national police force with the Philippine Constabulary as its nucleus. After the People's Revolution in 1986, a new constitution was promulgated providing for a police force which is national in scope and civilian in character. Consequently, Republic Act Number 6975 entitled An Act Establishing the Philippine National Police under Reorganized Department of the Interior and Local Government (DILG) was signed into a law on December 30, 1990, which took effect on January 1, 1991. Subsequently, the PNP was operational on January 29, 1991, which members were formerly the PC and the INP in the absorption of selected members from the major service units of the Armed Forces of the Philippines, such as the Philippine Air Force Security Command, the Philippine Coast Guard, the Philippine Navy, and the Philippine Army. Thus, to further strengthen the PNP into a highly efficient and competent police force, Republic Act Number 8551 entitled PNP Reform and Reorganized Act of 1998 was enacted, amending certain provisions of Republic Act Number 6975. Comparison of two department law. Enforcement in the United States is one of three major components of the criminal justice system of the United States, along with courts and corrections. Although each component operates semi-independently, the three collectively form a chain leading from an investigation of suspected criminal activity to the administration of criminal punishment. Law enforcement operates primarily through governmental police agencies. There are 17,985 U.S. police agencies in the United States, which include city police department, country sheriff's office, that state police, highway patrol, and federal law enforcement agencies.
Philippines Police, law enforcement, maintain peace and order, prevents and investigates crime and bring offenders to justice, exercise the best power from the Philippines, constitutions, and pertinent laws, detain and arrest person for a period not beyond what is prescribed by law, implement pertinent laws and regulations on firearms and explosive control, supervise and control and training operation of security agencies. Philippine PNP rank, Police General, Police Lieutenant General, Police Major General, Police Brigadier General, Police Colonel, Police Lieutenant Colonel, Police Major, Police Captain, Police Lieutenant, Police Executive Master Sergeant, Police Chief Master Sergeant, Police Master Sergeant, Police Staff Sergeant, Police Corporal, Patrol or Patrolwoman.
So, the Philippine Air Force and United States Air Force. So, Philippine Air Force, the Philippine Air Force or PAF, or in Filipino is Hukbong Himpapawid ng Pilipinas, is the Aerial Warfare Service branch of the Armed Forces of the Philippines. So, branch of the Armed Force, initially formed as part of the Philippine Army. So, Philippine Army Air Corps. The PAF is responsible for both defending the Philippine airspace and conducting aerial operations throughout the Philippines, such as close air support operations, combat air patrol, aerial reconnaissance missions, airlift operations, helicopter tactical operations, and aerial humanitarian operations. So, the PAF is headquartered at the Villamor Air Base in Pasay and is headed by the Chief of the Air Force, who is also served as the branch highest ranking military officer. So, the Philippine Air Force is the organization that patrolling the airspace of the Philippines. So, the United States Air Force is the U.S. Air Force is a military service branch organized within the Department of Air Force. One of the three military departments of the Departments of Defense, the Air Force, through the Department of the Air Force, is headed by the Civilian Secretary of the Air Force, who reports to the Secretary of Defense and is appointed by the President with Senate confirmation. The highest ranked military officer in the Air Force is the Chief of Staff of the Air Force, who exercises supervision over Air Force units and serves as one of the Joint Chief of Staff, as directed by the Secretary of Defense and Secretary of Air Force. Certain Air Force components are assigned to Unified Combatant Commands, combatant commanders are delegated operational authority of the force assigned to them, while the Secretary of the Air Force and the Chief of the Staff of the Air Force retain administrative authority over their members. So, United States Air Force, along with conducting independent air operation, the U.S. Air Force provide air supports for land and naval forces and aids in the recovery of troops in the field. As of 2017, the service operates more than 5,369 military aircraft and 406 ICBMs. It has $153.3 billion US dollars budget and is the second largest service branch with 329,614 active duty airmen, 172,857 civilian personnel, 69,556 reserve airmen, and 107,414 National Guard airmen. So the Philippine Air Force versus United States Air Force. So in terms of ranking, the Philippine Air Force, we start with airman. So the airman second class, the airman first class, sergeant, staff sergeant, technical sergeant, sergeant, senior master sergeant, chief master sergeant, second lieutenant, first lieutenant, captain, major, lieutenant colonel, colonel, brigadier general, major general, lieutenant general, and the highest is the general. In United States Air Force, they start with Airman Basic or E1, Airman AMN or E2, Airman A1C or E3, Senior Airman SRA or E4, Staff Sergeant E5, Technical Sergeant E6, Master Sergeant E7, First Sergeant E9, Senior Master Sergeant is E9, also E9, Chief Master Sergeant. Then the next is the Command Chief Master Sergeant. So the Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force, Senior Enlisted. They are also Senior Enlisted Advisor of the Chairman of the Joint Chief of the Staff. So in commissioned officers, they have Second Lieutenant, the First Lieutenant. So the next is Captain, Major, Lieutenant Colonel, Colonel, Brigadier General, Major General, Lieutenant General, and the General and the highest is General of the Air Force. So here are some of the Philippine Air Force aircraft. So in fighter, we have A-29B Super Tucano and FA-50PF. So in terms of helicopter, we have AH-1S Cobra, MD-520, AW-109E, and S-70. In terms of trainer, we have T-41B and SF-260FH. In transport, we have C-130, the C-295M, the Fokker F-27, and NC-212. So, in United States Air Force aircraft, in fighter, they have F-22 Raptor, the F-16 Fighting Falcon, F-15 Eagle, OA-10 Thunderbolt II. So, E4 so they also have radar. So E4, the E3 Sentry, the Global Express. So they also have electronic warfare. The electronic warfare is the one who stop the radar of the enemy. So they have Gulfstream 9 G500, the EC-130FH compass call. They have EC-130. So they also have reconnaissance. So U2, the RC-135, the CN-235, and C-12 Huron. They also have tanker. So the tanker is the aircraft that have fuel for the aircraft that in the battle they want to take a fuel. So they have KC-135 Strato tanker. They have KC-10 extender and KC-46 Pegasus. They also have transporter. So the C-40 Clipper, BC-25, the HC-130 Hercules, and C-130J Super Hercules. They also have helicopter, the UH-1N, the U-22 Osprey, HH-60, and AW-139. So they also have trainer, the T-1 Jayhawk, SR-20, the G-120 TP, and the T-38 Talon.
Good afternoon, everyone. The topic that we will discussing is the Federal Bureau of Prison. Established May 14, 1930 to improve the condition and management of the 11 federal prison. Ang Federal Bureau of Prison po ay na-establish noong May 14, 1930 at ang goal lang nila ay ma-improve ang condition and management of 11 prisons sa US. By the end of 1930, we were 14 prison that housed over 13,000 inmates. Noong 1930, daw ay nadagdagan ng 3 ang prisons na mayroon silang 13,000 na inmates. Grow to 24,000 inmates and 24 institutions by 1940. Hanggang noong 1940, 10 years later, ay mayroon na silang 24 institution na mayroong 24 inmates. Created by the Act of May 14, 1930, signed into law by President Herbert Hoover. It was President Herbert Hoover ang pumirma to formally establish the institution. Ang Federal Bureau of Prison ay maraming function and scope. First is productivity manage of offender population to ensure safe and secure operations. Next is provide services and program to address inmate needs provide productivity use to time activities and facilitate successful integration of inmates into society. Next is ensure their competent diverse workforce operating within a professional work environment to meet the current and future needs of the organization. Next is maintain of BOP facilities or Bureau of Prison in operationally sound condition and in compliance with security, safety, and environment requirements. Next is manage operation and source in a competent and effective manner and encourage activity and innovation and development. Continue to seek opportunities to expand the involvement of community and goal state and federal agencies. Provide for public safety and security by focusing and preventing disrupting and responding to terrorist activities. Ang Federal Bureau of Prison ay minamanage nila ang mga offender population para masiguro nila ang safe and secure ng inmates. Nagbibigay din sila ng mga services at program para maging productive ang oras ng mga inmates. They also address the needs and concern of inmates. Sinisigurado din nila na competent at maayos ang mga nagtatrabaho sa FBOP para maging maayos at successful ang operation ng institution. Mini-maintain din nila ang mga facilities alinsunod sa safety, secure and environment requirements. Mission of Vision. Mission. The mission of BOP is to protect society by confining and offenders and controlled environment of prison and community-based facilities and cost-efficient and appropriately secure that provide work and self-environment opportunities to assist offenders in becoming law-abiding citizens. Vision. The Federal Bureau of Prison judged with any standard and widely consistent and regarded as a model of outstanding public administration and as the best of value provider of efficient, safe, and human correctional services and programs in America.
Ayan, magandang araw po sa ating lahat. Ang naka-assign sa amin is yung Bureau of Jail Management and Penology or VJMP dito sa atin sa Pilipinas at yung Federal Bureau of Prison or FBOP dun sa bansang USA. So, bago natin talakayin lahat ay babasahin ko muna sa inyo yung history, mission, vision, and core values ng ating VJMP. Then, saan nagpo-focus, and then mga programs and function ng ating VJMP and yung ating rank classification dito sa Pilipinas. So, history. On January 2, 1991, the Bureau of Jail Management and Penology was created, Republic Act 6975 as a line bureau under the Department of Interior and Local Government. The VJMP has jurisdiction over all district, city, and jail municipal jail, and it's a line bureau of the Department of Interior and Local Government or DILG. The Bureau of Jail Management and Penology, hereinafter referred to as the Jail Bureau, is hereby created, initially consisting of officer and uniform members of the Jail Management and Penology Service as constituted under Presidential Decree number 765. The mission of VJMP is to enhance public safety and ensuring human safekeeping and development of persons deprived of liberty or PDL in all district, city, and municipal jails for their reintegration to society or to community. The vision is a primary institution highly regarded by society for the secure and human treatment of persons deprived of liberty, or PDL, by its competent and motivate corps. The core values of VJMP is to effectively screen and evaluate prospective employees to ensure a competent workforce that will adhere to the BOPs or Bureau of Prison core values of correctional excellence, integrity, and respect, and result in hiring consistent with applicable laws, regulation, and merit system principles. Ayon sa Republic Act 6975, ang Bureau of Jail Management and Penology ay nasa ilalim ng Department of Interior and Local Government or DILG na may mandatong pangasiwaan at pangalagaan ang administrasyon at operasyon ng lahat ng kulungan dito sa ating district, municipal jails nationwide with branch task of safekeeping and development para sa ating mga persons deprived of liberty. So the Bureau of Jail Management and Penology, Power and Function, and Organization. The Bureau shall exercise supervision and control over all city and municipal jails. The provincial jail shall be supervised and controlled by the provincial government with its jurisdiction whose expenses shall be subsidized by the national government for not more than 3 years after effective date of this act. The Bureau of Jail Management shall be headed by a chief who shall be assisted by a deputy chief. So dito sa atin sa Pilipinas, nagpo-focus ang VJMP dito sa 4G management strategies. 4G management, hindi para 5G ha. Ayan. Ito yung guard the gates, guard the badge, guard the purse, and guard the life. Yung guard the gates natin ay nagpo-focus yan sa facilities dito sa atin sa lahat ng jail dito sa atin sa Pilipinas. And then yung guard the badge naman ay para sa ating mga personnel, para sa mga personnel ng Bureau of Jail Management and Penology dito sa atin sa Pilipinas. Yung guard the purse naman ay yung mga resources na binibigay ng pamahalaan sa ating BJMP. At yung guard the life naman ay para sa reformation program ng ating mga PDL or the persons deprived of liberty. BJMP function, in line with its mission, the Jail Bureau endeavors to perform following function: formulate policies and guidelines in the administration of all district, city, and municipal nationwide. Yung function, isa sa mga function natin dyan is to implement strong security measures for the control of inmates, provide for the basic needs of inmates, conduct activities and development for the inmates, improve jail facilities. Ayan, gusto pang isa sa mga function ng ating BJMP yung pa-improvein pa yung lahat ng jail facilities dito sa atin sa Pilipinas kasi kung napapansin nyo, halos nagkukulang tayo sa mga kulungan kasi dumadami na yung ating mga law violators. Ayan, isa yan sa mga function ng ating BJMP. And then yung promote general welfare and development of personnel. Ayan, idagdag ko lang din yung mga programs. Yan yung isa dito ang provision of basic needs, food or personal hygiene para sa inmate. Ito yung pang-araw-araw na kinakain at yung binibigay para sa ating mga PDL. Ang sarap maging preso pala, no? Libre pakain. Ayan, isa pa ay health services. Nagbibigay din ang BJMP ng health services sa ating mga persons deprived of liberty. Kung ikaw ay na high blood or may masakit, nandyan agad yung medic para sa ating mga PDL. And then, may program din sila ng educational program. Katulad na lang yan ng ALS. Uso yan ngayon yung mag-shortcut ka ng study. Pag ikaw ay nakapasa sa ALS, nagkakandak din sila dyan para sa ating mga PDL. Then, skills trainings or enhancement program. Katulad yan ng TESDA. Yung gumagawa ng tinapay, gumagawa ng tuyo. Nagtuturo sila sa ganun, habang nasa kulungan ka, nagtatrabaho ka, then may napapadala ka sa pamilya mo, at least kumikita yung jail kumikita yung jail sa'yo kasi ayan. Then behavioral modification program, interfaith program, cultural and sport program, katulad yan nung mga holidays. Yung cultural program, mga holidays yan dito sa atin sa Pilipinas. Yung isa dyan sa naano nila is yung Ramadan. Yung sa mga sports program, nagpapa-sports pa sila like basketball, badminton para sa mga PDL, para sa mga gustong laruin ng mga PDL. So, isa pa dyan, yung meron tayong types of jail. Pero bago ang lahat, alamin muna natin kung ano yung jail. Jail is a primarily adult penal institution for the detention of law violators. Yan naman talaga yung jail ba? para sa mga law violators. So meron tayong type of jail which is lock-up jail. Ito yung security facility common a police station used for a temporary confinement lamang. Yan yung lock-up jail, para sa temporary confinement lang pala yun. Or sa mga police station. Ordinary jails. It is a type of jail commonly used to detain a convicted criminal offenders to serve sentence less than 3 years. So ito yung sinasabi ni ma'am na hindi niya maano kung anong tawag. Type of jail pala yun. Ordinary jail ang tawag. Sila yung nagsiserve ng sentence na mas mababa sa 3 taon. Then yung last natin is a workhouse jail form of camp. Ito yung nagsiserve ng service sa maikling panahon lamang. Serving short service na nag-undergo lang sila ng community service or nagko-construction sila. Remedial service lang para sa mga nagkasala. So ang tawag doon ay workhouse jail form of camp. So next natin is ayan, malinaw sa inyo yung type of jail. Less than 3 years, ano lang yan, ng ordinary jails. Tsaka yung serving short service lang, magsiserve ka lang sa maikling panahon. Ang tawag dyan ay workhouse jail form of camp. Then yung lock-up jail ay yung sa mga police station or temporary confinement lang. So BJMP rankings, rank classification for purpose of efficient administration, supervision, and control. The rank classification of the members of Jail Bureau shall be as follows. As officers, yan, Jail Director, 2-star Major General, Chief of the Bureau, BJMP highest ranking official, the Chief Superintendent, 1-star Brigadier General, Regional Director, Directorial Staff, and Deputy Chief, Jail Senior Superintendent, Colonel, 3 Sampaguita Lips, Provincial Director and City Director, Jail Superintendent, Lieutenant Colonel, and Jail Warden. Jail Chief Inspector, Major, 1 Sampaguita Lips, Jail Senior Inspector, Captain 2, Doctor, Lawyer, Captain, or Deputy Warden, Jail Inspector, Lieutenant, Nurse, Social Worker, IT, Officer, Technician, Engineer, Therapist, Teacher, Scientist, Accountant, and Criminologist. Para naman sa ating mga non-commissioned personnel and agents, Senior Jail Officer 4, Chief Master Sergeant ang tawag dyan, then Senior Jail Officer 3, Senior Master Sergeant, Senior Jail Officer 2, Master Sergeant, Senior Jail Officer 1, Staff Sergeant, Jail Officer 2, Private First Class, Jail Officer 3, tawag ay Corporal, Jail Officer 1, Private, Jail Officer, Basic Jail Internship, yan, at para sa non-informed personnel or NUP are the term used for those civilian employees of the BJMP who carried no rank. So no rank yun. NUP. Uninformed personnel. Ayan, kung nakikita nyo, yan yung badge ng ating BJMP under the supervision of Department of Interior and Local Government. Federal Bureau of Prison badge, yan ang FBOP sa USA. Ganyan yung badge nila. Then ito yung mga rank classification. Kung nakikita nyo, medyo malabo lang siya. Ayan. Sa PNP yan, pero kagaya din yan ng ating Bureau of Fire Protection at ating Bureau of Jail Management and Penology dito sa Pilipinas. And yan nga, kasama nga sa function ng ating BJMP is yung magpalagay pa ng maraming jail dito sa city and municipal jails dito sa atin sa Pilipinas. At least mas maganda ang mapapanatili natin ang kasafetyhan at kasiguraduhan ng ating mga persons deprived of liberty. Ayan, kung para naman sa mga gustong maging BJMP, yan, kung gusto nyong maging service sa ating mga PDL, the municipal or city jail service shall preferable by headed by a graduate of a 4-year course in psychology, psychiatry, sociology, nursing, social work, or criminology, who shall assist in the immediate rehabilitation of individuals or detention of prisoners. Great care must be exercised so that the human rights of the prisoners are respected and protected, and their spiritual and physical well-being are properly and promptly attended to BJMP. So ayan, para sa mga gusto maging Bureau of Jail Management and Penology dito sa ating bansa, especially graduate kayo ng 4 years course, and then dapat magaling kayo, rumispeto at magprotekta sa ating mga PDL or persons deprived of liberty, specifically mentally and spiritually. Yan.
So hope you learned something, and then pasok na tayo sa next reporter. Then maraming salamat.
Or the Bureau of Fire Protection, or in Filipino, kawian ng pagtatanggol sa sunog, is the Government Fire Service of the Philippines. It's under the jurisdiction of the Department of the Interior and Local Government. Ito po yung isang department ng ating gobyerno na kung saan sila po yung nag-prevent na o nagpipigil sa mga kapag mayroon pong sunog, sila po yung agad na dumarating para malagay sa makontrol yung pagsunog sa isang lugar. Yung motto po nila, to protect and serve. Ang BFP po ay ang headquarters po nila ay sa Quezon City. Employees 25,000 estimated in 2019. Annual budget 25.54 billion in 2021. Founded in January 29, 1991. Total trucks 2,683 in 2018. Station 51. Cities 597. Municipalities 2018. Jurisdiction Philippines. Subsidiary Bureau of Fire Protection, National Capital Region. History of the BFP. The Bureau of Fire Protection has formed from the units of the Philippine Integrated National Police of Fire Protection Service on January 29, 1991. Yung Bureau of Fire Protection po ay nabuo sa pamamagitan ng National Police on January 2000, 1991. Through the law name, yung ito po yung batas na ginawa para sa department po na to ito po ay yung Act 6975, creating the present Interior Department and placing the fire service under its control. BFP organization. The Bureau of Fire has a national headquarters, a special rescue, hazmat unit, an emergency medical service, special operation unit, an arson investigation unit, the fire law enforcement service, and the Fire National Training Institute. Each region has its own BFP fire region headed by a person with the rank of fire chief, superintendent, fire brigadier general, or fire senior superintendent, or fire colonel. Ito pong mga units po na to ay pinapaunahan po sila ng mataas po na official, like fire chief, superintendent. The function and duties of the BFP: prevent and suppression of all destruction fires. Sila po yung nagpo-control na pipigil po sa kung anong sunog na mangyari sa isang lugar, dahil yun po ang kanilang trabaho. Tapos enforce of revise implementing rules and regulation, or RIRR, of the Republic Act number 9514, otherwise known as Fire Code of the Philippines, or PD 1185, and other related laws. Ito pong mga BP po ay nag-enforce po sila ng rules and regulation na kung saan ito po ay yung Act number 9514. Function and duties: investigate the case of fire, and if necessary, file a complaint to the city of province prosecutor relating to the case. Sila po may trabaho rin po nila na mag-investigate po ng ito po yung case po na bakit po simula yung sunog, anong pong nangyari, ano pong pinagmulan. Yung po ay trabaho po nila at kailangan po nila mag-file ng complaint sa cities o saan po yung province na relating yung case na nangyari yung pinagmulan ng sunog. Tapos in events of the national emergency, the military will assist an order of the pag events naman po of the national emergency, military po yung nag-assist sa ganung pong mangyari. Order po yun ng President of the Philippines, and establish of all at least one fire station with all personnel and equipment per municipality and provincial capital. Kailangan po magkaroon ng at least ng one station in every municipalities and capital o province capital with personnel and equipment po. Para ito rin po, kaya ginawa na po nila to para mas mabilis po yung action na gawin ng mga natin mga BEP personnel natin. Kasi kung malayo man yung lugar, yung station nila, tapos yung lugar po ay napakalayo din yung pinag-nasunog, ano po yung oras na mas malaki po yung oras na mawala at mas malaki ang posibilidad na mas maraming mamatay, wala ng buhay, wala ng gamit. Kaya mas mabuti po yung gantong gagawin nila na magkaroon sila tayo sila ng bawat municipalities or province capital. Meron silang one station at may mga personnel at equipment sila na gagamitin agad para maka-action agad sila ng maaga para no more casualties. Tapos ito po yung fire officer rank insignia. Meron din po ditong katumbas din po sa PNP. Fire Director, 2-star Major General of the Bureau of Fire Protection. BFP highest ranking. Ito po yung highest ranking ng yung Fire Director. Tapos Fire Chief Superintendent or 1-star Brigadier General or Regional Director, Director Staff Deputy Chief, Fire Senior Superintendent or Colonel Sampaguita Libs, Fire or Provincial Director City Director, Fire Superintendent, Non-Commissioned Officers, Senior Fire Officer or Senior Master Sergeant or Senior Fire Officer 3rd or Master Sergeant, Senior Officer 1st or Technical Sergeant and Senior Fire Officer 1 or Staff Sergeant and Fire Officer 3rd or Sergeant and Fire Officer 2nd or Corporal and Fire Officer 1st or Private 1st Class and Fire Officer or Basic General Internship. We have a VIP engine. The Bureau provides fire appliance defense on their jurisdiction capabilities in cities and municipalities in the Philippines. Have one more fire appliances system. Ito po yung mga ginagamit ng ating mga BEP personnel po, yung like ito po yung trucks, mga heavy trucks po, medium fire engine, aerial fire engine, heavy fire engine, and light fire engine. Yung BEP po ay under the leadership of Commander-in-Chief, President of the Philippines, and Secretary of Interior and Local Government of the Philippines, Undersecretary for Public and Safety, and Chief of Bureau of Fire Protection, the Deputy Chief for Administration, and the Deputy Chief for Operation.
Firefighters in the United States, they have a headquarters. This is the Department of the City of the New York, RFDNY. They have a total of 331,407 state and local firefighters. Firefighter in the United States was founded in the year of 1736 in Philadelphia. They have a total of 27,228 stations, which is they have jurisdiction, which is the United States of America. So, firefighting in the United States dates back to the earliest European colonies in the American. Early firefighters were simply community members who would respond to neighborhood fires with buckets. The first dedicated volunteer fire brigade was established in 1736 in Philadelphia. So, dates back in the earliest European. Ang firefighter daw, wala pa silang mga department, wala pa silang employees, wala pang jurisdiction, wala pang station. So, nagtutulong-tulong lang yung mga neighborhood kung sakali man na pagkakaroon ng sunog, yung pinapatay lang nila to through buckets of water, pinapapasa-pasahan nila. Sa Pilipinas tinatawag itong bayanihan. So, firefighter history. Firefighting in the United States can be traced back to the 17th century when, after a great conflagration in Boston in 1631, the Massachusetts Bay Colony passed a law banning smoking in public places. New Amsterdam established the colony's first fighting system in 1647. So, yun nga, nagkaroon ng firefighting system sa nung nagkaroon ng conflagration sa Boston. Doon lang siya yung pinakamalalang pagkakaroon ng sunog. So, doon na ban yung smoking in public places, yung paninigarilyo sa mga public places. Dito sa bansa natin, na rin yan, yung ban na yung paninigarilyo sa mga public places, hindi na pwede kasi meron ng pinapataw na parusa. So, they have firefighter companies, fire apparatus, and fire departments. So, fire companies, Benjamin Franklin founded the first American volunteer fire company in Philadelphia in 1736. So, yun. Benjamin Franklin, siya yung unang naka-found ng first American volunteer fire company sa Philadelphia. So, fire apparatus. American firefighters build, design, or assign specifications for their equipment. Particularly, they dedicated themselves to the engines and viewed them as integral to the fire company identity. So, ito yung history ng kanilang fire apparatus. Well, the fire departments, before the 1850s, there were only volunteer fire companies. In 1853, Cincinnati, Ohio, became the first city with a fully paid fire department, followed 4 years later by the St. Louis Fire Department in St. Louis, Missouri. So, in 1855, the Metropolitan Hook and Ladder Company Number 1 Firehouse, Washington's oldest extant firehouse, was built on Massachusetts Avenue. So the next one is firefighter organization. U.S. firefighters work under the auspices of fire departments, also commonly called fire protection districts, fire divisions, fire companies, and etc. The departments are generally organized as local or country governments, subsidiaries, special purpose district entities, or not-for-profit corporations. So many U.S. fire departments have emergency medical service, or EMS, which may be structurally separate from or combined with their firefighting operations, including firefighters cross-trained as EMT and paramedics. That is the firefighter organization. What are the firefighters' function and duties? So the first one is preventing, combating, and extinguishing fire with the goal of protecting lives, the environment, and property. So yun, ito nga yung isang mga function and duties nila. And the second one is tools and equipment used for firefighting safely and effectively. Dapat effective siya, hindi siya yung pabagal-bagal. Kailangan punta nila doon, yun na. Magagamit na nila yun para mapatay ang sunog. So the next one is providing appropriate medical care within their scope of knowledge in emergency situation. So yung firefighters, hindi lang sila basta tagapatay ng sunog. Meron din dapat silang alam sa mga about the paramedics. So yun. Ranking and insignia. There is no single standard system of rank and insignia in use, but certain ranks are common. So, firefighter, ito naman, it is the lowest rank. Driver engineer, fire equipment operator are used by many department. Lieutenant is typically used as the lowest fire officer rank. Captain, usually being denoted with a pair of parallel bagels or parallel bars. Senior captain, shown as 2 bagels crossed. Battalion chief, sometimes division chief or district chief, is often highest ranking chief officer. Additional chief usually exists between chief and battalion. Usually insignia 3 to 4 crossed gold bagels or 4 stars. And the last one is chief, is usually the highest rank of a uniform member in any given department, traditionally shown with 5 gold bagels or stars.
So, good morning, ma'am. I am Charlotte Cuevas Ganancial, and my topic for today is about armed force of the Philippine Army and the U.S. Army. So, as we can see, there is 2 different types of logo, the Philippine logo and the USA Army logo that represent the braveness of the Army people of the 2 different countries. So, let's proceed to the history of the USA Army. The history of the United States Army began in 1975. From its formation, the United States Army has been the primary land-based part of the United States Armed Force. So, yun yung naging pangunahing lugar or bansa kung saan nag-base ang armed force ng kanilang bansa. The main army means responsibility has been in fighting land battles and military occupation. The Corps of Engineers also has a major role in controlling rivers inside the United States. So, ang main goal ng USA Army is para to battle sa lupa para labanan yung mga terrorism sa kanilang bansa. And the Philippine Army, the history of the Philippine Army is that the Army of the Philippines was initially organized under the National Defense Act of 1935 or Commonwealth Act Number 1 of December 21, 1935. The act specified that presidential appointments to grades above 3rd lieutenant should be made from former holders of reserve commissions in the United States Army and the former Philippine Scouts and Constabulary officers. Okay, addition for the USA Army history, the Continental Army was founded in responds to the need of professional soldiers in the Revolutionary War to fight the invading British Army. Until the 1940s, the army was relatively small in the peacetime. So, noon, yung mga American Army is lumaban sila sa British Army nung time na parang gustong sakupin yung kanilang bansa. It's part of the history of the US Army. And the Philippine History Edition is after the establishment of the Commonwealth, Manuel L. Quezon, its first president, sought the service of General Douglas MacArthur to evolve a national defense plan. On December 21, 1935, the Army of the Philippines was established. The act set for the organizational structure of the army and enlistment, the mobilization of procedure. So, parang mas pinaigting ang army ng Pilipinas lalo na noong dumating si MacArthur sa ating bansa. Mas pinaigting ang seguridad or service ng mga Pilipino na part ng army para mas mabantayan ang ating bansa. Let's see first the difference between the US Army and the Philippine Army. First, the Philippine Army. The Philippine Army has become active December 21, 1935, 86 years ago. And the country, of course, the Philippines. Ang role of the army is, of course, the ground warfare, and the size or ang lawak ng mga active personnel is 101,000 active personnel and 100,000 ready reserves personnel. So, part of course, the Armed Forces of the Philippines. Garrison of the Philippine Army is Port Andres Bonifacio, Metro Manila, Philippines. And the motto of the Philippine Army is serving the people, securing the land. The colors, of course, Army Green. The mascot is Musang, or in English word is Civit. And the anniversaries is March 22, what's they called Army Day. And engagement, or kung saan napabilang na war ang ating Philippine Army, is the Philippine Revolution, the Spanish-American War, the Philippine-American War, World War II, and Cold War, and so much more. And the commanders, of course, ng Philippine Army ay first, Commander-in-Chief, the President, Rodrigo Roa Duterte, and Secretary of National Defense, Delfin Lorenzana. Chief of Staff of the Armed Forces of the Philippines is General Andres C. Centino. Commanding General of the Philippine Army is Lieutenant General Romeo S. Browner Jr. and Vice Commander of Philippine Army Henry M. Doyan. And Chief of Staff of Philippine Army, of course, Roberto S. Capulong. Army Sergeant Major is Ricky S. Leono. Sa tayo sa Philippine Army, let's proceed to the United States Army, and let's see the difference between the two nations. United States Army founded on June 14, 1775, 246 years and 6 months ago. The country, of course, US. Type, Army. Role, prompt and sustained land combat. At combined arms operation, combined arm maneuver and wide area security, armored and mechanized operation, airborne and air assault operations, and so much more. Yun yung role ng Army sa United States. At kung makikita naman natin the difference between the two nations, sa Philippines is iisa lang yung nasabi doon na role, at yun ay yung securing the ground war welfare. At ngayon, the size naman ng lawak ng United States Army is 485,000 regular Army personnel as of 2021, 336,000 Army National Guard personnel, 189,500 reserve personnel, 1,005,725 total uniformed personnel, 252,747 civilian personnel as of December 30, 2020. Total of 1,248,472 at merong 4,486 na crew aircraft. Part of United States Armed Force ay yung part ay sa United States Armed Force. Department of Army, syempre dun siya nakakabilang. And the headquarters kung saan matatagpuan or yung pinaka main base ay sa Pentagon, Arlington, Virginia, US. At ang motto naman ng US Army is, "This will defend." The color ay tatlo, black, gold, and white. Ang march, yung kinakanta nila habang nagmamarch sa training, ay "The Army Goes Rolling Along." Ang mascot is Army Moles. Anniversaries or Anong anniversaries nila ay June 14, at tinatawag na birthday ng Army. Equipment, list of US Army equipment, war engagement. So, marami silang war engagement. Kasama na dito ang Revolutionary War, War of 1812, Mexican-American War, Civil War, and more. Sobrang dami nilang nakasama or na-engage na war kaysa sa Pilipinas. At yung Vice Chief Staff naman nila ay si General Jose Martin, and Sergeant Major of Army is si Michael Greenstone. So, makikita naman natin doon sa dalawa, na sa US Army and the Philippine Army, na once na magkaroon ng parang battle between the two nations, kitang-kita natin na matatalo talaga ang Philippines kasi sobrang dami ng personnel ng United States Army. Sa reserve pa lang nila at saka sa mga uniform personnel nila, wala pa sa kalahati ang dami ng ating army. So, ganun kalakas at ganun kalakas ang puwersa ng United States Army kumpara sa puwersa ng Pilipinas.
United States of America Navy. Ang United States of America Navy ay pangunahing sangay din ng sandatahang lakas ng Estados Unidos or ng United States of America na inaatasan sa pagtanggol ng bansa sa kanilang sasakupang dagat. At sila din yung nagpapanatili ng seguridad dun sa kanilang nasasakupang dagat. Motto naman ng United States of America Navy ay always courageous, not for self but for country. The U.S. Navy Organization ay nasa ilalim sila ng Pangasiwang Department of the Navy, sa ilalim ng sibilyang pamumuno ng Secretary of the Navy or yung SECNAV nga. Ang pinaka-senior na opisyal ng hubong dagat ay ang Chief of Naval Operations or yung CNO, isang 4-star admiral na tayo sa United States of America Navy ranks. Unang-unang dito is yung Commander-in-Chief, which is yung President. Kung sino yung President dun sa United States of America, siya yung Commander-in-Chief. So, ang current Commander-in-Chief ngayon is si President Joe Biden sa United States of America. Next, yung Fleet Admiral, Admiral, Vice Admiral, Rear Admiral Lower Half, Captain, Commander, Lieutenant Commander, Lieutenant Junior Grade, Ensign, Chief Warrant Officer 4, Chief Warrant Officer 3, Chief Warrant Officer 2, Master Chief PT Officer of the Navy, Command Master Chief PT Officer, Master Chief PT Officer, Senior Chief PT Officer, Seaman Apprentice, Seaman Recruit. Yun yung mga rank pagdating doon sa United States of America Navy. Ang differences ng United States of America at ng Philippines pagdating sa Navy is, ang United States of America Navy ay merong 336,978 personnel on active duty. At meron silang 101,583 in the reserve. At sa Philippine Navy naman is meron silang 24,500 active service personnel including 8,300 strong Philippine Marine Corps. The Philippine Navy have a 25 aircraft, operate 80 combat ships, 13 auxiliary ships, carrier fleet. While the U.S. Navy is the world's largest aircraft with 11 in service, 2 new carrier under construction, and 5 other carrier planned. Ang United States of America Coast Guard or yung USCG ay ang Maritime Security Search and Rescue pagdating sa karagatan at Law Enforcement Service Branch ng United States Armed Forces at isa sa 8 unformed service ng bansa ng United States of America. Ang Maritime Service ay merong multi-mission service na natatangi sa mga sakay ng militar ng USA para sa pagkakaroon ng isang maritime law enforcement mission na may jurisdiction sa parehong domestic at international water at isang federal regulatory agency mission bilang bahagi ng mga tungkol nito. Ito ang pinakamalaki at pinakamapangyarihang tagabantay sa baybayin ng dagat pagdating sa buong mundo na tumutugon sa mga kakayahan at laki ng karamihan ng Navy. The United States of America Coast Guard rank: Admiral, Vice Admiral, Rear Admiral Lower Half, Captain, Commander, Lieutenant Commander, Lieutenant Junior Grade, Ensign, Chief Warrant Officer 4, Chief Warrant Officer 3, Chief Warrant Officer 2, Master Chief PT Officer of the Coast Guard, the Command Master Chief PT Officer, Master Chief PT Officer, Senior Chief PT Officer, Chief PT Officer, PT Officer First Class, PT Officer Second Class, PT Officer 3rd Class, Seaman Apprentice, Seaman Recruit. So, halos magkakatulad lang sila ng ranking pagdating dun sa Navy. Mas marami lang yung dito sa Coast Guard nila.
Philippine Navy. Ang motto po ng Philippine Navy is always courageous, not for self but for country. Next, Philippine Navy. The Philippine Navy is the naval warfare service branch of the armed forces of the Philippines. It has an estimated strength of 24,500 active service personnel, including the 8,300 strong Philippine Marine Corps. It operates 80 combat ships, 13 auxiliary ships, 25 aircraft, and 8 unmanned aerial vehicles. So, ayun nga po. Di ba alam naman natin po na pagdating sa katubigan is Philippine Navy talaga yung nangunguna. Sila yung nag-secure sa ating karagatan. Pansinin lang natin kung walang nagbabantay sa karagatan ng Pilipinas. Sa palagay ko'y madali lang para sa mga dayuhan ng angkinin o yung parte ng dagat natin. Di ba tungkulin talaga nila na ipagtanggol ang teritoryo mula sa panlabas, ipagsalakay ng mga karatig nating bansa. Tumutulong din sila na maprotektahan ang mga yaman dagat at mga kapaligiran. Alam din nila kung ano yung nangyayari na sa paligid natin. Di naman puro bantay lang sila. Ang alam nila, nag-secure din sila kapag may mga nangingisda na yung mga bangka o yung mga barko ay tumataob. Siyempre yung may mga maliliit na bangka yung ginagamit ng ating mga mangingisda, di ba? Ang pinapatakbo pala nilang barko ay nasa 80 yung pang-combat. At meron naman silang 24,500 na active personnel, yung active na tauhan. At meron din sila 25 na sasakyang panghimpapawid. At hindi naman porket hukbong dagat ay pandagat lang talaga sila. Siyempre meron din po silang panghimpapawid at yun nga po is nasa 25. Kaya nga po malaki yung space ng kanilang barko doon po yun lumalanding yung mga sasakyan po nila, yung mga ships, aircraft. So yun po. Next po is Philippine Organization. The Philippine Navy is administered through the Department of National Defense or DND. Under the AFP structure, the chairman of the Joint of Staff AFP is a 4-star general or admiral. If the officer is member of the Philippine Navy is most senior military officer. Sabi po dito is Philippine Navy daw po ay pinangasiwaan sa pamamagitan ng Department of National Defense or yung tinatawag na DND. Para bantayan po yung bansa laban sa panloob at panlabas na para po sa kapayapaan at pagunlad po ng ating bansa. Ang nga po pala, ang head po ng Department of DND or Department of National Defense ay si General Delfin Lorenzana. Sabi rin dito, kung member ka ng Philippine Navy ay nasa ilalim ka ng AFP. Alam natin po di ba na ang sandata ang lakas ng Pilipinas ay ang persang militar. May tatlong sangay po ang AFP, ang Army, Air Force at ang Philippine Navy. Kaya kung ikaw ay member ng Philippine Navy ay under ka ng Armed Forces of the Philippines or tinatawag natin na AFP. So ayun po. Philippine Organization, the senior naval officer is the Chief of Navy who usually hold the rank of Vice Admiral. He along with or her Air Force and Army counterparts is junior only. The chairman of the CON is solely responsible for the administration and operational status of Navy. His counterpart, the US Navy, is Chief of Naval Operations. Ang sabi po dito, si Rear Admiral IC Adulius Burado ay mataas na hukbong dagat dahil kasi po nga siya po yung hepe ng Philippine Navy, kung di po ako nagkakamali. Pati hukbong panghimpapawid po is under din po niya. Siya po yung nagsisilbing Incumbent Flag Officer in Command ng Philippine Navy po. So nasa kanya po lahat, nanggagaling yung command papunta sa kanyang mga staff o sa lahat po na under po niya. Sa lahat po ng kanyang mga tauhan. Ayun po. Next po is ito po, Philippine Navy ranking. Ito po yung ranking ng Philippine Navy. Commander-in-Chief, President Rodrigo Duterte, Admiral, Vice Admiral, Rear Admiral, Commander, Captain, Commander, Lieutenant Commander, Lieutenant Senior Grade, Lieutenant Junior Grade, Ensign, First Master Chief PT Officer, Master Chief PT Officer, Senior Chief PT Officer, Chief PT Officer, PT Officer First Class, PT Officer Second Class, Seaman First Class, Seaman Second Class, at Seaman.